Another woman tricked hip hop again. So I got a short video for this one. Stay tuned and we'll get into it.
But I walked into his house and it was super awkward because like he's really kind of awkward, and I've heard that going into it. But me with another awkward person is like, I think it's because you guys are awkward. Maybe that's why. But if you guys are awkward, you guys aren't. Because he was awkward. I walked into his house. He didn't even like say hi to me. So then I was like, said, let's go to the bathroom. So then we go to the bathroom and then we like get out and then he's like, he's just sitting there with like his two assistants and he's not even acknowledging that I'm like in the room and my camera guy's like setting up. I'm just sitting there like
skin
on
crawling.
my phone, like trying, and then he comes up, he's like, oh, hi, gives me like a half hug, and I'm just like, hi, then goes back to his spot, and I'm like, dude, I don't even want to do this. I'm texting my friend, like, Ashley, I need to leave. This is so awkward. I don't want it. Like, what am I doing here? And then she's like, lean into this during the interview, like, call it out. So then during our interview, I was able to be like, why did you do that? Like, why did you make me feel like that? Yeah, so it was actually really, it worked out.
What the hell was that lady talking about?
So basically, Bobbi Althoff, she is a current YouTuber, and her podcast got really big for her pretending to have like this awkward phase, like Funny Marco, if anybody's familiar with him. She started on TikTok. Her husband happens to be extremely rich. She's a stay-at-home mom. She literally does nothing but whatever she wants to do. And she started the podcast, like talking about mom stuff and trying different things until she figured out what hit. One of her neighbors happens to be a celebrity. She did the interview with one of her neighbors first. It took off. And from there, that's how she ended up into merging over into the sector because, of course, people know people. Funny Marco was dealing with Beat Break Media. And then he did the first interview with her. Then Drake did the interview with her. So people are now discovering that the awkward disposition of hers is actually not real. She actually does. She has a personality, but based off of how her presentation has her being very awkward. And now that she's like on No Jumper, people sees that she actually has more so of a very much so welcoming personality as opposed to what she's shown.
Oh, so she tricked everybody basically.
Yeah, okay. I mean, she played her part, but it was nothing special to it. It's not like she's a industry planner or anything. She's just a white woman who had access to a celebrity neighbor, and it was just proximity.
So she plays awkward with the celebrities, but she's herself with these people that she's talking to?
So she plays awkward with Black celebrities specifically. So she's had she's had an interview with Funny Marco, Tyga. She's done one with Drake, and she's done one as recent with Lil Yachty. That's who she was talking about in the video. And she went to Lil Yachty's house. She has another one with Offset. I'm not sure if it's going to come up. The one with Drake actually was like her most streamed podcast. And I think it was like the most streamed podcast that has come up recently ever.
I heard she got in trouble behind that Drake interview. Didn't she? They talking about her and her husband possibly going divorced because they think Drake smashed.
I don't know if her and Drake had sex. But Drake doesn't follow her on Instagram anymore. She doesn't follow him. And she had rights to the content. She deleted the Instagram. So it could have been something going on with her and Drake. She was at the Drake interview and she wasn't looking as if she was like enjoying herself. But it could have also been a part of her awkward phase. I have no idea. But I do know that the way she perceives herself as far as her podcasting appears to not be the persona that she initially went out for. So now when she's on No Jumper, it's basically kind of like she acting different around Black people. But when
she was just trolling
herself. Exactly.
I got a question though. Don't we all do that? If I'm around a whole bunch of white people, I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna be
not
different.
That way. Like it's a completely different thing. It's very much so awkward, standoffish. It's very much so reserved. It's not you tiptoeing around what you're gonna say and trying not to offend someone. It's literally just guarded. That's how it is. It's very. Have you seen Funny Marco, Mr. Lego?
Yeah, I've seen him.
I know he is.
Okay, so
it's not really though.
How Funny Marco behaves as far as in interviews, and the things that he says is kind of like, it kind of takes people aback because you don't know what he says, but it's with a straight face. That's her, but she's not necessarily the funny one.
Because I'm like virtually everyone.
Hers is like more dry humor.
virtually every woman I've dated, if we were in a drive-through and a black person says, "Can I take your orders?" They're gonna be like, "Yeah, let me get da 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 da." But every time it's a white person, they'll be like, "Yes, I would like da da da." So we kind of like this. That's normal. Like, don't y'all do that? Yes, I would like this and that. You literally change your verbiage.
It's called code switching.
It sounds like a white person at the drive-thru. So don't we all do that?
Curious, everyone. But the thing is,
talk like this. But I just believe that a lot of this is, I think if you listen to the story that she told about what Drake did when she was first meeting him, it kind of makes sense for her to be awkward around somebody that's acting like, I'm too famous to be bothered with you when they're doing an interview with you. If that makes any sense. Like sometimes people just lose touch with reality. So I think she was highlighting that when she explained the story about how he came in and he didn't say anything. Then he gave her a half hug, didn't say anything else. Like, this is strictly business. I have nothing to say to you, basically.
Well, in Lil Yachty's case, that wasn't it. So Lil Yachty is very much so socially awkward. Like that's his real personality. Drake is not a socially awkward individual. Funny Marco is not. Tyga is not a socially awkward individual. Matter of fact, Tyga probably has the most familiarity with her because he grew up in Calabasas. He grew up in a rich neighborhood. He's a rich kid. He's a rich black kid. And the thing with Lil Yachty is he wasn't pretending. So she actually is pretending to be socially awkward. You go around someone who's actually socially awkward, and now you're kind of like getting the sense of what you do is off-putting towards other people. So her experience with him kind of was like the most challenging one because all of the other people that she actually had an interview with were more so welcoming. They were very much so becoming. Yeah. They played into that character that she was giving.
But Lil Yachty, by his own words, he said he doesn't really mess with girls. He just plays video games and masturbates.
And I believe that. Just like there's just certain men that are just socially awkward. And that doesn't take away from the fact that she says that she is socially awkward. And I think this is very similar to the Summer Walker situation where people don't believe she has anxiety because she'll go shake her ass on a car. But when she goes on stage,
I don't believe it either. I don't believe it.
So many people around her, right? So she feels that anxiety of if I mess up, it's going to be caught. It's going to be played over and over again. This is my life. Like they're literally watching everything I do up here for this next hour that I'm doing this show or 2 hours. And that's a lot of anxiety, right? People are like, you don't have anxiety because I saw you shaking your butt up there with the other girls on the car. You don't have anxiety. I saw you playing with so-and-so. That's your friend, not realizing that just certain things trigger anxiety for other people. You don't know what's going to trigger her anxiety. So you can't tell her she doesn't have anxiety because you've seen her do these other things that you might not do.
I think this will
people make the mistake of thinking that entertainers are not in character. So like when you have people who are actors, right? You'll watch Denzel Washington do a movie, but you don't expect him to act like that afterwards, right? But they've been doing this to rappers for a little while now too, where they expect you to really gun shoot them up and really be out here. Oh, where the hoes at? Everything like they expect you to really be like that, but you're just in character, right? A lot of us when we do our videos and stuff, I know me for sure. I'm in character. I'm not like I don't really. It is part of me, but I can't go outside and act like I act on my videos. People would think I was a weirdo. Right. And it would be very difficult for me to engage with people in real life like that. So I think our expectations are a little bit too high for this. Like, why do you think we're supposed to behave when we're entertaining people? If we all acted like we normally did, we would not be really entertaining. There's very few people who are interesting enough to behave like themselves as they do on a regular basis without learning how to perform in front of camera. We can't be the same thing. It's just not entertaining. And we can't be like that in real life because it's just weird.
The reason why I can't give that credence is because if we were talking like Joe Budden specifically, everybody know how Joe acts. He's not putting on no front. He can be obnoxious. He can be confrontational. He is a generally loud man. He is very much so like opening and he makes corny jokes and stuff like that. Joe Budden's not putting on an act in a podcast. He's not reading the script. He's not an actor in a podcast. That's genuinely his personality. He shows up as himself. The difference is, if you guys have actually seen Bobbi's podcast, if you guys have actually seen her videos, you will see the entire shift of this person that's acting very much so guarded, weird. She has little to say. She's kind of reading your body language. She's looking to see what you say, and then she responds with, "Well, what do you think?" And when you looking at her on No Jumper, she's very much so vocal. She's engaging. She's laughing. She's more so open, and it gives. She's a regular soccer mom.